Alright guys, time to grab it back again today. Hope you're enjoying your day so far, and today we're going to talk about streaming at Scrims. Yesterday, Scump came out and confirms that for the 2021 season, Chicago Huntsmen, or whatever they're going to be called, maybe they go over to what was again with Los Angeles, as we've talked about these last few days, are going to be streaming their Scrims once again. This was a big discussion in the middle of the Modern Warfare season, quite frankly, when RCTs came out and said, look, this is hurting our practice, this is, well, taken away from our concentration on the game, not enabling us to talk through things we wanted to talk through, and also giving away some sort of hints and tips to opposition that actually can just watch these streams for free. The top teams in the game tend to, at the latter half of the cycle, not stream Scrims anymore, but it seems like they're definitely still planning to do this. Is this going to have an impact on how well they can perform in the Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War season? That is certainly a discussion to be had as the Call of Duty League continues to mature. Hope you guys enjoy the video. Like if you enjoy it, subscribe if you are new. As always, I'd greatly appreciate it. It really helps out the channel. Thank you for doing that. Before we get into things, you're probably wondering why I have TSM Bergson up on screen right here. That's just because that Clayster then came out and said after this, taking the path that he did, so he was like a League of Legends player that retired yesterday to become the head coach of the TSM team. He says, hope I can transition as fluidly as he did, saying that, well, Clayster's plan clearly, as he said a couple of times, is just to stay at an organization. I think he would love to stay at the New York Subliners until his retirement, and then when he does retire, transition into a head coach role and then potentially become actually part of that organization and running things from a management perspective. That'd be pretty cool, but well, Clayster hinting at what his future might be a couple of years down the line. Also, Atlanta FaZe's Scuff Gaming throwback $25,000 tournament. There's only 6 teams remaining in the tournament as it stands right now. Let me just check if this is all fully on screen. Empire 3 of the Huntsmen yesterday, FaZe are in it as well, so the winner's final is Empire versus FaZe. This is a familiar one, and if Huntsmen get top 3, well, you know, there we go. But yeah, so these are the teams that are remaining in the tournament. It'll finish off tonight sometime. I'll leave the links to this stuff in the description box below if you guys would like to check it out and follow along all the action. This then is a clip that came out from Scump yesterday, mainly thanks to Carl B for pointing this one out to me. Thought it was pretty interesting. He makes it very, very clear indeed that they're going to be streaming Scrims. And the way he says 100% again and again and again, maybe implies that they're not just going to be streaming some Scrims, and like, yeah, we're 100% streaming some Scrims, but it seems like they pretty much want to stream everything.
Yeah, we're streaming Scrims next year, 100%.
So I also thought I'd share a clip from RCTs that came out in July. This was a clip I took from my, video that I made on it at the time. And as RCT says, wait, no way people think this is bad. Context of this was me telling the team that we could take Scrims more serious. So I'll just play this clip and then we'll have a discussion on exactly what this could mean.
We need to know what the fuck we want to do on the map. I sit there and go on fucking speeches after we lose maps or after we win maps, what we could do doing better. And they're just sitting there saying, yo, thanks for the subscription. And I'm sitting there, I was like, cool, so I just had a fucking 10-minute conversation to Troy about getting better.
So I did a bit of a search on Twitter for RCTs in terms of what he had to say on Scrims, and we can see, you know, a number of times he was streaming Scrims for the Huntsmen right here throughout May, and that clip came out pretty much the end of, the end of July, where he was, saying that it was having an impact on how well they were performing. And I certainly understand this, the issue that RCTs has. There's really 2 sides of the story here. One side of the story is that, look, as he was saying, like, people are focusing on donations and saying thanks for the gifted sub or whatever, and certainly, after you play a match of Scrims, so Scrims is just like practice. For those of you who are unaware, you set up a scrim against another team. Nowadays, they actually have like a proper scrim schedule and it's kind of organized, whereas it used to be just kind of, you want to play at like 6 p.m. or we'll just have a scrim for like a couple of hours or whatever. They'll go through all the different maps and modes. They'll play it out against the other team to practice what they are doing. And, really what you want after each of those maps, you want to be able to immediately break down what you did wrong, what the mistakes were, and how to improve on those mistakes. The problem with streaming to some degree is that you have some obligation to your chat. You have some obligation to keep what's going on. Maybe someone drops like 100 gifted subs or whatever. You have to say thank you for that, and it takes you out the moment to some degree. Or maybe someone made a mistake on that P3 rotation and you want to call it out, and Sender, for example, is saying like, we made a mistake there, we should have done XYZ. RCTs is chiming in, but then the other guys maybe who are streaming have something else on their screen which distracts them from the game, and maybe they made a mistake in that map which then isn't corrected because they their eye wasn't on the prize, I suppose, in terms of that post-game discussion. So that's one of the issues. The other side of the story, of course, is the fact that, when you do stream Scrims, you do give away some degree of information. It's probably not a particularly significant amount of information, but certainly I know, like in the past, Joey Nubsy has said that he used to pay for Crimsix's, like a subscription plan, basically, like he would subscribe to him just so he could view his VODs from past VODs, and then would go through them all from like the Optic Gaming days in Black Ops 4, figure out what they were doing, like what they were doing on certain breakoffs, so that you can try and counter that, right? Because if you know, and if you stream all the scrims, and you know exactly what this team is going to do on certain breakoffs, on certain hard points, like how many ARs, how many SMGs do they use, how many people do they send on this side of the map compared to that side of the map, this kind of stuff is that, well, you can look into this and say, look, okay, they play this break off this way in scrims. If we make this strat, then we can, it's going to be the best to counter that, right? And, well, that can be a big deal, right? Especially a game like Modern Warfare. Let's say you're on Hackney Yard, Hardpoint, for example. Huntsmen have, like, good sides, but you know exactly what they do on the break, and you know where they send their ARs, you know where they send their SMGs, because they stream all their scrims. You can then come up with some sort of counter strat to try and, well, counter strat that and, well, actually win the rotations over to P2, which is an important rotation. So there's certainly a number of sides to the story here. What I haven't really got into, though, is the upsides of streaming, right? So these are the teams last season. Out of these, like, how many of these really streamed scrims, especially, like, of the better ones, right? FaZe, maybe on very rare occasions. Huntsmen streamed a lot of them. A number of their players were streaming. Dallas Empire barely streamed a thing. I think they streamed, like, one series, maybe, like, in the last couple of months. And then the rest of the guys were kind of a hit or miss. I think Ravens did it a little bit. And, well, you guys can let me know exactly who of these guys was streaming as well. But not many teams by any means. And the Huntsmen was certainly the highest profile. And is there a surprise that the Huntsmen are the biggest brand, the biggest team in the game? But they actually do happen to be streaming scrims, and I know that Hector Rodriguez would be quite happy to say, look, if it means that maybe we win one less event than we would have done, if it means growing our brand and doing what we can in terms of selling sponsorships and building up our players' success and their brand name, that's certainly a sacrifice that they are willing to make. And I certainly understand that side of the argument, and it certainly helps the Huntsmen become the biggest names, right? Because if you go on Twitch during a regular Call of Duty evening, you're going to see Scump and Co over there killing it on the stream side, whereas the Dallas Empire and the Atlanta FaZe, those guys aren't building their presence and building their brand to potential new viewers in that sense. But maybe as a result of that, when they do go to an event and then win it because they haven't been giving away anything and they've been fully focusing on practice, not focusing on anything else, then it gets to a point where they go to the event and win it, and then they maybe gain fans in that sense, right? And of course, there's something to be said for winning at the end of the day. And it's certainly an interesting discussion, because back in the day, all the players would stream their scrims, like Black Ops 3, I remember you watching Optic Gaming streams all the time. Used to be so much fun watching their scrims, and well, it still is today, to be honest, but teams don't tend to do it nowadays. Certainly in other esports, they do not stream their scrims because, it's a big deal, whatever you might potentially give away for the opposition. And as Call of Duty has continued to mature, can you see in the future, first of all, the question is, can a dynasty team ever be formed again? With the competition how it is, I see that as relatively unlikely. But can that dynasty team be a team that streams scrims and gives things away? Probably not, quite frankly. So to me, if the Huntsmen, Optic Gaming, Los Angeles, whatever they're going to be next season, are going to stream scrims, they're not necessarily going to be quite the team they could have been, right? And it's a very interesting discussion to have for the fans of that team, I suppose, as to whether you would prefer them to not stream scrims at all and maybe perform better at events, or would you prefer them to stream scrims and have that content to watch and have them build their brand in that sense. But it's possible that doing that will then have some impact on how well they perform when they get to some of the big LAN championships. So definitely a to and fro here, and interesting to see. Scump just straight up comes out and says, yeah, we're doing it 100%. We're not taking a leaf out of the Empire's book or FaZe's book or whatever, because I definitely understand why the Huntsmen do it, but at the same time there are some downsides. I thought I'd finish off with a couple of funny things. This from the Toronto Ultra, pretty remarkable story actually, this one. So they get their Twitter account banned. I imagine it's only a permanent ban, but they were talking about earlier in the day how they had it was their anniversary, it was their 1 year anniversary, and the Toronto Defiant were having their 2 year anniversary or whatever. And what I imagine happened here, as credit CDL Intel is pointing out, and Royal Ravens pointed out this one as well, and as Call of Duty Draft says in reply, they changed their birthday to 1 year ago and got terms of service banned. Gotta give it a little bit, which is absolutely hilarious. Some social media manager was okay, we were born 1 year ago, let's just set our birthday to 2019 or whatever, and then, because you're under 13 or whatever the age limit is, they just ban their account. I imagine they'll be able to get it back, but it's still pretty entertaining if they did get terms of service banned like this, because, a rookie mistake, right? Rookie mistake in October, following up from the rookie mistake in September of the whole truth about Brack situation, which I imagine was this time last month or something like that. So pretty entertaining stuff. Also thought I'd finish off with this, because later today there's a Breaking Point GG piece on Scump and Formal, T2P, the origins and the history of that duo, which is probably going to be today but might be tomorrow. And I was very impressed by some of these statistics. I mean, we talked about it when we talked about the Scump one as well, but a 1.12 way back in 2014, so that's the Ghost Champs, 1.14, 1.27 down. Honestly, in terms of how good a Champs player you can possibly be, Formal has got to be up there, right? And this 1.06, in fairness, he was playing from California, right? Yeah, for the World Championship online, which wasn't the greatest thing. But I mean, this first place 1.44 KD. I mean, honestly, I think World War II was an underrated year because he was on Luminosity Gaming at the time alongside J-Camp, and he was absolutely going off like every single map. It was out of control. And well, they just fell short in 6th. But honestly, if they won that matchup for 6th, they could have gone all the way because that team was filthy. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, I'd greatly appreciate a like on the video. It really helps out the YouTube algorithm know you enjoyed this content. Other people like you may enjoy this content as well. Thank you for watching as always. Take care, and I will see you next time.
I think one player has spotted him, and Scumpy's looking to take him down from the back, but he does not actually die, and Illy has a second attempt at maybe being able to actually find Dashy, and he does. He knows Scumpy's behind him. Illy looking to make the play, and he does. That's going to be 2 down, make that 3. Looking to now make the perfect rotation is Dallas Empire. Illy is still on the spree, picking up the middle of the map. Will find kill number 4 as he finds Dashy and Scump once again, and then Envoy. Illy makes the play and will be able to secure the win, 250 to 260.